like this, but doing it with a wireless, and not sure.
So I did research a little bit, you know, when COVID was hitting, we were thinking about coming back. And I just, actually, the guy that was before Glenn McCrary had started working with Max on the roundtables for Max over in Irving. Had one of these, and that's when I got to looking at it and studying it. And I'm like, maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, but it's the Yeti Blue.
It's different. It's a blue.
Yeah, Yeti Blue.
I think it's like $100 anyway, maybe 125.
And you can, you want surround sound, you want to focus the sound a little bit. I mean, I just get it there usually, but and you can.
We're a late arriving club because it's almost time. We got 10 people here, including a new person turned in an application last week, so I'm excited.
You know Steve, you know Fred, Catherine.
Yeah, I met Catherine. Good to see you.
I know, but I don't know. She wants to know what we're doing, and I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. At this point,
So we have I wasn't able to attend, but we had a Zoom meeting this week, last week, on kind of at least reevaluating our club goals as far as membership and as far as attendance, as far as Alex had his way. And obviously a lot of good things came out of that, but just what do we want to do now? So there's interesting discussions, covering the gamut. Of you don't need to ever attend till you got to attend 50% of the time. It's different. And how long you need to do a service project before you're a video. Okay, interesting. Not everybody's into that, but yeah, maybe those sort of discussions. So Joy's leading that. I think she's on her. But Alex was getting me to go. He said, "We want you to serve." There's something to say for that.
No, that part of it.
And then we have Tom Posey, who's founded our club. That says, "You need to
Uh-huh.
So I see that's kind of to me the older Rotary or something.
Well, I think it's clear that Rotary has to change.
Yeah.
If it's going to survive.
That's right. I agree with that. And to me, it's very, it's a lot of people on the board, our president. I don't know. Somebody order something separate? Steve, I need to talk to you. We got a buffet back there, big guy. Grilled chicken. Okay, good input. Good input. Okay. Yes, get yourself a plate.
You were asking for suggestions on buffet.
Do they have a meat thing next week? We kind of tweak it a little bit. Oh, you won't be?
No.
Okay. I'm trying to change it up, and I appreciate it. You'll be what? You'll be what?
Police Center from Rhode Island.
Oh, Rhode Island. Oh, nice.
Some people from Carrier Air Conditioning.
Okay.
My wife tagged along.
There you go. There you go. You know Joanne? Ian,
Different, not through Rotary.
Good to see you again. Are you still staying with the Sikorsky?
No.
Yeah, I'm not either. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Ian was.
1 minute.
Played Sikorsky together. No, I didn't want to let you go. This is his last year, yeah. Oh, good for you. I'm glad you did that. So nice.
Hey, Peter. Ian, go grab you some lunch, Ian. Yeah, okay.
Maybe I'll do this.
It is 12 o'clock. Hello, everybody. It looks like we've got Sweet Kelly and Sweet Miss Lisa. Lisa, I'm sure you're just as beautiful as ever, even though you won't show
Thanks,
us.
I'm eating, so I just don't want to eat on camera.
I hear you. I do that too.
Same. Me too.
I do. I did too. I'm always like, I'm here, but I'm going to turn my camera off. Okay?
Yeah, sorry, I'll maybe turn it on a little later.
Okay, well, thank you all for coming today. I am so happy to see so many of our friends. We will start with Joanna is going to do our invocation.
This is really not an invocation. It's just a reading. This is from Jim Rigby. He is the minister of St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church in Austin, and I follow him on Facebook, and I love his posts. And here is one that I especially liked. In my opinion, the heart of religion is not belief or hierarchy, but reverence. Einstein rejected traditional religion, but often spoke of his reverence before this wondrous universe. Shortly before he died, Einstein was quoted in Life magazine saying, "The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. One cannot help but be in awe when one contemplates the mysteries of eternity, of life, of the marvelous structure of reality. It is enough if one tries to merely comprehend a little of this mystery each day."
Thank you, Joanna. Now, if you will stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, Catherine, if you would like to introduce our guests.
Today, we are lucky to have with us our former district governor, Ian Sullivan. We're thrilled to have him with us today. And for the second time coming back to a meeting, we are so glad, Danielle Evans. Welcome.
Danielle is a prospective.
Yes, Danielle submitted her application after hanging out with us last week. Yes. Okay, so let's start with Braggs.
Welcome, everybody. Beautiful fall day in Texas is really honestly hard to beat. Get outdoors and breathe the air. Well, let's get started on Braggs. Is there anybody in the audience here at Normus that's dying to brag?
Don?
That was quick. All right, okay. First of all, welcome Ian.
We got to see Ian for the first time in our club in a while, but even before COVID. So welcome, Ian. Roundtable last Saturday was good. I think probably membership was the key piece there. And I know Joanna was online, weren't you, Joanna? So that was a good discussion. I had not met, it's Kathleen Clavitter or something like that. She really did. I thought she did a great job. But anyway, yeah, next month, actually, we may not be there. And we're the DG aides because we're supposed to go to Honduras for a mission trip, but we'll see. Anyway, that's my brag.
Got to keep the hurricanes away, right?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to brag? Okay, Catherine.
I'm gonna call out Brandon Maxey for showing up today. Thank you. I saw him and I fussed at him and there he is. Thank you.
Everybody.
All right, Ms. Joy wants to share with us.
So y'all know I'm in leadership Plano class 39. And last night, a group of us decided that we would go to the city council meeting. That was an experience. That was an experience. So I sat there listening. Everybody's got a right to their opinion. And I'm one of these, I can pretty much see both sides in most situations. But I tell you, our poor Mark Israelson and the mayor and those councilmen, they take a beating. I do not have a thick enough skin to be able to do what they do. So I just applaud them for doing that out of choice.
Yeah, I'd probably get kicked out because I tell them what I think. Yeah, I bet you, in my knowledge, last night, there was some heated discussion about short-term rentals.
Yes.
Yeah,
And that bike trail.
yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of churn out there about housing on the east side of Plano because they're going to be putting somewhere that Baptist church got torn down too. First Baptist, that's a huge plot of land right there along 14th Street. And it's in between 14th and 15th Street. Fred, you got anything to say today?
This is not a brag. This was a privilege. My father-in-law is 98. So I went to Lufkin this weekend and sat with him Saturday and Sunday and yesterday. And, you know, that you never know when it's going to be the last time you get to visit with him, but it was really a privilege. And there's one thing that I found out, though, after sitting there for 3 days, I am not ready to retire.
That's some good words of wisdom too, for sure. Okay, online. Is there anybody wanting to brag today? If you are,
I'll brag.
roll with it.
Go ahead, David.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it. So, well, we have a lot of stuff that that I can actually brag about, but that has happened. I guess with Douglas Visions, we've gotten all the painting done in the house and all the furniture ordered and a lot of it delivered for the transitional house. So we're looking at occupancy starting November 1st. So we've got all the bedroom suites ordered and mattresses purchased and everything. So that's exciting because it's been a process to get everything done. We will be at the International Festival also this weekend. We have 2 booths there. One where we'll be doing the vaccinations in the Cox building, and then we'll have another booth outside for the African American Experience, which is the first year that they've ever had African American representation at the Plano International Festival. So we're really excited about that. We've also got our jazz concert starting, the last concert in the series next Thursday at the Art Center of Plano or Haggard Park. So, and that's from 6 to 10. So we're looking for everybody to show up, all the Rotarians, Plano West and all the other clubs as well. So we've got a lot going on, several other events this month to finish out the month. And then, of course, we go into next month with the turkey basket giveaway. So we're excited. A lot of stuff that's happening, very positive, very uplifting to give back to the community. So that's my brag.
Thanks for sharing. Anybody else online want to brag?
I'll piggyback a little bit on what David's saying in terms of getting out in the community. I too will be at the International Festival representing Parks and Recreation, and we have never had a booth there. So I'm super excited about it because I feel like our department represents all cultures, and we're here for everybody. And on top of that, I'm a one-person team. And so I'm pretty proud that I was able to secure staffing for the booth, and I also have a full outreach schedule. I have effectively connected with all of our early childhood schools, and all of them invited me to their fall happening. So I'm super excited to be connecting with our local schools and sharing the good news about Parks and Rec. So go me.
Thank you very much. Anybody else?
Yay!
Okay, I'll wrap it up. I'm gonna need a substitute for Sergeant at Arms for the next 2 Tuesdays. I'm gonna be up in Rhode Island area exploring it with my wife for a couple of weeks, and
That's about the size of Dallas, isn't it, Rhode Island?
yeah. And you know, she and I have a goal of making it to every state, all 50 of them, while we're still here. And so we're getting awfully close to having them all knocked out.
We'll miss you.
After this, just a couple. Alaska's one of them. But it'll happen next year. We'll be done.
Did you want to talk about classifications?
I do need to mention that I need some help with classification talks. We don't have anybody for next Tuesday. I won't be here, but love to get somebody signed up to do it for next Tuesday. The following Tuesday, I believe it's the 25th. Roxanna can't do it next Tuesday, so I've asked if she can do it the 25th. But we're wide open for November. So just shoot me or Joy an email and let us know when you can do it. Just a reminder, only needs to be 2-3 minutes, maybe a little bit more, but it's just tell us about your job, your family, and your involvement with Rotary, you know, just so we learn a little bit more about you. That's it. Thank you.
But I don't have a date. So you just need to lock James down for a date.
Next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday? If I'm alive. Okay, so moving right along. Oh, it doesn't show you the time when okay, so club business. We're still looking for someone to host the holiday party. We have a potential hostess, but we are still looking for inquiries or interests just in case that one doesn't pan out. So please get with Laura. Laura, are you still online? Did you want to talk about it at all? She's still on there?
I'm looking. Yeah, Laura? There she is.
Laura, did you want to talk about the holiday party?
Well, it'll probably be a little bit different than last year because last year it was at Gary's house. And if you know Gary goes crazy on the decorations at his house.
Yeah, nobody can follow that. Clark Griswold.
Griswold, yeah.
Yeah. And he was, anyhow, he was having the party anyway, and then invited us to expand on his party. But this year, I'm kind of what I'm looking for is someone to open their house, and let us all come over. It could be potluck style, so it's not a lot of cooking stress or anything like that. And people just, clean up after themselves and take their leftovers home or what have you. So it's not like you'll be left with a ton of food or anything like that. So it's supposed to be fairly stress-free. We're just looking for someone to open their house for us. And so I think the weekends that I thinking what might be good would be, I think it's December 3rd and December 10th. Those are the first two Saturdays of the month. Because as we all know, December is a very holiday-driven month. So if interested, let me know.
What if, I haven't given this a whole lot of thought because it just occurred to me, but if we can't get a club member to host, what if we did a potluck at the Sam Johnson Rec Center? If I could get a space in there, maybe? I
That
mean,
would work.
I don't know that we could necessarily do alcoholic beverages or anything like that. But I mean, just a thought, that would be my last resort, because I think it's a lot more fun when we're at someone's home and that personalized interaction. But I guess let's keep that in the back of your mind if you think that would be doable. And I would just need as much notice as possible to get with the center to make sure we could get some space.
So,
Okay.
I'm sorry, so Steve, did you talk?
Yes.
Okay, okay.
Gary's had a bunch of health issues. Months ago, I believe he had another heart attack and he got more bypasses. That went okay. So I don't know how many stents he's got now, maybe 12. I mean, it's up there. I think he's in double digits now. But also, he's got some back issues. He needs some back surgery. And he's hoping to get that done before his son's wedding that I think comes up in November or December. I did not ask him if he could host a party. I just felt like talking to him. I don't want to even put it on his radar. I have to worry about it. But yes, I have visited with him, and that's why he hasn't been here.
I know.
He just isn't physically up to it yet.
Gotcha, thank you.
I know we're all keeping him in our prayers. It's such a sweet man to be going through so much. And everything hits you all at once, you know? Okay, so quarterly dues, you've heard me talk about this every week. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but please pay your dues. We received our district dues invoice, which I believe is due by November 1st. Is that correct?
End of the month.
End of the month.
And I checked in already.
Okay, so, but just so that you know, our dues roll uphill. So a portion of the dues that you pay or should have paid go up to the district and also up to RI. So our dues are so low, we need every penny that we can get to be able to afford those dues and not put the club in financial strain. So quarterly dues, quarterly dues. The Plano International Festival this Saturday. It looks like our assistants, our volunteer presence, we need one more volunteer. I think someone had to back out because we were fully staffed last week, but we need one more volunteer for that. Poor Catherine is the only one signed up for the Bowman food drive. I looked this morning. I was gonna sign up, but I can't. I'm at Leadership Plano that day. So it's just an hour and a half on a Thursday afternoon. You guys, if you're able to afford some time to go help pass out some boxes to our PISD students, that would be fabulous. And then also the delivering furniture to our families in need. Jen and her daughter are the only two signed up for that. So we.
Everybody's post balloon festivals.
I know, I hate that. I hate that. It's like, but yeah, so Catherine needs 9 people, Jen needs 11 people. And then there's another project that we don't have listed on the website yet, but because I have an in, I'm gonna go ahead and share it with you now, because it should be up by tonight. Last year, the Plano West Rotary Club helped the Wellness Center for Older Adults with our community resource fair for caregivers. And that resource fair is going to happen on the 29th of October. And you guys were amazing. We had a crew that came out and did the setup on the Friday before, and then the tear down on Saturday afternoon, and it was amazing. So if we could get some folks to help us with that, it would be awesome. And I don't know how we ended up with the kids. I don't know if they were interactors or how we ended up with those kids that were there last year, but they were the biggest hit. They were supposed to just kind of be runners to do for people, the vendors and the participants, and they ended up carrying boxes of snacks and drinks around in the room to the vendors, and the vendors felt like royalty. And it was these kids, you know, so we can get them again, that would be awesome. So watch for that. That'll be coming. That'll be up on the website soon. And I just see a typo on my Plano Flags of Honor. I might just let Ian talk about that. Do you mind me putting you on the spot? Let's let Ian tell you real quick about the Plano Flags of Honor, because it's coming up.
November 5th through November 11th. This is a project that is near and dear to my heart. I guess the inspiration for it. A friend of mine in California told me about the one that they do out there. And so I envisioned it at Oak Point Park. We put up 1,111 flags, all with military precision in the alignment. So one of my favorite things to do is to walk through the flags and see the diagonals pop. And that's, you know, any time of day. But in order to make that happen, we need lots of help. We need help in putting them up, taking them down, and then showing people the experience throughout the week. So if you can help, love to see you there. I'll be there all week.
So how do they sign up? Do we have how do they?
I was gonna say.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. No, I put some rack cards in the back. So if you want to take a rack card that has their website on there, which is planoflagsofhonor.org, there is a sign up genius that is classified. There's a different tab for each day that they need volunteers. So go on planoflagsofhonor.org, sign up for a couple of shifts. That's, you know, Plano East helps us. I'd like to, I think Fred does their survey every year. That's why they're in crooked lines. So if I may ask Ian, I was looking at the, you know, putting a name on one of the flags. What type of stories, because it asked you for certain information, but what type of story does it want about the people's names that we provide?
The story is free flowing. So it's whatever you want to put. The more information you can put, the better. Because you'll see people wandering the field and they're reading those tags. So the more personal information you can give about the history of the individual, where they served, the more you can do, the better. But it's all about the experience of honoring that vet with the flag.
And there's no cost for those, none at all. You can just go online and I'm trying to think of what the wording was, but I think don't tell him, but I think I'm gonna go on there and put my husband this year. And I may even put my son, because, you know, I can. So anyways, I'm looking forward to it. I haven't been able to participate in the flags yet, but I've worked very closely with Lisa for the past many months, and she is very passionate about this. As you know, I'm very military driven, bleeding red, white, and blue. So I think it's only fitting that I get out there, get my family out there, and us help too. So I will look forward to seeing you out there. The last thing is the Clubs of Plano holiday party. I can't remember. I told Glenn, oh, I won't, I'm having issues with my memory, so I don't remember the date of it. And I don't remember where it's at, but I know it's the beginning of December. I think it's the 4th, but
I think it's the.
but I'm not 100% sure. So we'll get that correct information. I knew it last week and the week before, but I've slept since I don't remember. So at any rate, that's about all the business that I have for you. So at this time, I'd like to ask Joanna to come up and introduce our speaker today.
Denise Kaufman is the local representative for a Houston-based charity called Be an Angel Foundation. They started in Houston and they are expanding up here to Dallas. She is a tiny bit late today because apparently the toll road is shut down. So FYI, both sides. So try not to, try to stay off the toll road. Anyway, so come on up. Let's give her a big Rotary welcome. And I can pass you stuff. Oh, and Skittles. Thanks.
That explains the slide.
Oh, she don't need him. She don't need him. Yeah. Well, my wife, she's good.
Thank you so much for your patience, and my mind's still on that traffic, so hopefully I'll know what I'm talking about today. So as she's passing around the Skittles, I used to be a teacher and school counselor, and so I always like to have something to give you to think about, and that's what the Skittles are for. So as we talk about what Be an Angel is and what we do for children, think about just in the Skittles, there's all different colors. There is different smells. Just like in life, we all have different abilities. We have different ways that we live our life, but it's kind of when we all come together and help one another out that you get the sweet treat of life, and kind of that's a metaphor for the sweet treat of the Skittles. Fun little fact I read the other day. So all the Skittles taste the same. They trick you by changing the smell of them, but the inside of them are actually all the same taste. So if Google was correct, I thought, wow, I've been thinking I've been tasting all these different flavors. So let's see.
I got it.
Do this. You got it? Okay.
Just let me know when you want to go. to the next
Okay,
one.
I will. My name is Denise. Like I said, I was in education for 15 years and then stayed home for 11 years with my daughter that was a oopsie. I have grown kids. And then the youngest of the grown ones is 22. And then I have a 12-year-old. So did not expect her, but glad that God knows what he's doing. Another fun little fact is all the Rotary clubs. This is my last one in Plano to speak with, and they thought this was cool. So I put the money in the thing to share do y'all do that? To share a pray? Yes, yes. So I actually went to all the Rotary meetings once a week when I was in high school in Nocona, Texas, which is where I'm from. And because they did free lunch once a week. So I would go and eat a free lunch with them. And when I graduated, I actually was the recipient of the Rotary Scholarship. And that helped pay for part of my freshman year at college at the University of North Texas. So, okay, making a difference. Be an angel. We like to say that sometimes we make a difference in one child's life, or sometimes we make a difference in hundreds or thousands of children's lives. You'll kind of see the difference as I talk. Looked up some facts: 6,000 special ed students in Plano ISD, 531 and some change across the state in special ed. And you know, we have a lot of work to do in special ed in our schools. We are ranked 48th in the nation for how we take care of special ed in our schools. You can go to the next one. I have an office in Dallas and I have an office in Fort Worth, but we're serving the whole DFW area. My office in Fort Worth is kind of cool. It's at a school called the Joe Kelly School, which is part of Fort Worth ISD. And the Joe Kelly School is the only public, all handicapped school left in the nation.
Wow.
Every other
Wow.
district has pushed those special ed kids
Can't
into
do that.
regular ed, into a special education, branch of regular ed. It is about 62 of the most medically fragile students in Fort Worth ISD. These children have not one disability, but many. And so they do a really good job. I thought I knew what the kids that I was going to be serving with Be an Angel looked like from being in education, but taking a tour of that school, I learned a whole lot more about what can truly happen with those kids when they're set apart and not in some big classroom with one teacher. These kids don't necessarily learn reading and writing and math. They may be learning to signal for a yes or a no, or maybe working on strength to run their wheelchair, but they are learning something and they all can learn something. I think that's important to remember. Talked with parents after one of our last camps, and these were some of their biggest concerns: coping with emotional and physical demands, isolation feelings, managing expenses, finding support systems, researching, locating, and assessing treatment resources and services. So think about those things that these parents worry about as we go through, and hopefully you'll see how Be an Angel tries to hit on each one of those. So Be an Angel started 36 years ago. Mom had a daughter that was going to T.H. Rogers, which is it's actually a big special ed school in Houston, but it's also a gifted and talented school. So they have both ends of the spectrum. And she kept seeing this mother carrying in her daughter on a mat. And so after a couple of weeks of watching the mom unload and get the daughter into the classroom, she finally asked, what's going on? Why are you carrying your child on this mat? Well, her wheelchair had broken, and Medicaid only pays for a wheelchair once every 6 years. So you think about how much a kid grows in 6 years. If a wheel breaks, you get a letter saying you have this many days until you qualify for a new wheelchair. The mom, in this instance, was a maid, didn't make a whole lot of money, was a single mom. And so Tina Colasso, the founder of Be an Angel, went back to her bridge club and said, we're going to get this child a new wheelchair, hand out your money. And they were able to do that, and they got that child a wheelchair. So Tina began to think of other ways that she could help with the special education population. And a few years later, and it was the first of its kind at the time, she worked with T.H. Rogers to raise, I think it was almost $2 million. Pretty much single-handedly, she raised it. It will Be an Angel really wasn't a 501c3 or organization at that time, to build a aquatics therapy pool for the special ed kids at T.H. Rogers. And because it was kind of new, a new thought, a new way of helping these kids, it kind of blew up in the Houston area. And George Bush Sr. and Barbara, they actually came down, heard about it, came down and did the dedication, was there for the ceremony. Our Lieutenant Governor, Dan Patrick, was there. At that time, he wasn't in politics. He owned a radio station in Houston, a pretty popular one. So that kind of put Be an Angel more on the map. People began to talk about it, and the nonprofit that we have today kind of was built from that. Dan Patrick helped a whole lot with having an air presence on the radio and was able to help Be an Angel grow. They like to call him the voice of Be an Angel, was what it was called back then. Then went on to get into politics after that.
and people have mixed feelings on him. So we won't talk about any of the politics, but he has really been an asset with Be an Angel. So you can go to the next one. I kind of touched on all of that. We're about a $2 million a year charity at this point. Another group that was very active with the therapy, building of the therapy pool, was the Houston Oilers. So we now actually, our president of the board in Houston is Dan Pastorini, who was a quarterback for the Houston Oilers.
Yeah.
Really, really cool, down to earth guy. We don't take any state, local, or federal money. Most of our money, you will see later, comes from individuals' hearts, donors, and events. So hopefully maybe y'all can make an event sometime. We're planning lots of fun ones for next year. Here in DFW, the history kind of got started in 2012 at the Joe Kelly School that I was telling you guys about. We partnered with them and built one of the first barrier-free playgrounds in the DFW area. And for the 10-year anniversary, which is this year in November, we are adding a swing. It's kind of like a glider swing. Child in a wheelchair can roll in, back his wheelchair over here. There's a bench over here for his able-bodied friends or parents. And you just barely have to touch it and it starts gliding. So we're really excited about that. And we'll be doing a dedication ceremony for that. Then we, for the last 3 or 4 years, have done a Christmas program. We provide Christmas for all the kids at Joe Kelly and several hundred in DISD. And I'll talk more about the Christmas program in a second. We can help anywhere in the state, though. When I was talking to Joanna, she was kind of vetting me on being a speaker and how can you help Plano? What does this have to do with Plano? And I can help a kid anywhere in the state. And I'm going to give you a specific instance that we helped with a Plano something in a little bit. But that's where I need your help. You guys are what's going to create awareness for me. You guys also, I bet if you think really hard, you probably know a child that could benefit from one of our services. So keep that in mind. That's a picture. That was a picture. You're good. That was a picture of the playground right there. So our mission is just to improve the quality of life for children with multiple disabilities or profound hearing loss by providing adaptive equipment and other select services. I won't go through all the rest of it, but we think that these children matter and that they can contribute to society. So some of the adaptive equipment, this is not an exhaustive list. Anything that's deemed needed by a doctor or a teacher or a therapist, we pretty much will look into it to buy it. Wheelchairs, adaptive trikes, strollers, standers, vests, Peapod chairs. We just started doing van conversions. We don't pay for the van, but we pay for the conversion. And we just did our first DFW van conversion last week. The family received they came out, I guess, I'm not sure how it really works. I guess the van goes into the company that we use called Mobility Lift Aids, and they set it all up, but we got to take pictures with them and see the smiles on that family's face last week. Oh, that little boy right there. So he basically had no body control. The first time I saw him, he was in a C shape, totally bent over. He needed a wheelchair. We got him a wheelchair that holds him up, supports his hips. This was actually the picture that was taken right when he was strapped in that. And he just sat up, he took a deep breath and just breathed. And that's the picture that was captured at that moment. He was certainly happy to be upright, and I can't imagine being hunched over like that all the time. So, and those are some other kiddos that we've helped. Hearing aids, we also provide hearing aids. It's kind of the same. Medicaid will pay for them once every 5 years. Of course, when you're at school, you get a hearing aid if you don't have your own. But when you go home, you turn that hearing aid in. So summers, no hearing aid. Spring break, no hearing aid.
when COVID happened and those kids were let out for spring break thinking, you know, we're gonna be out next week, and then they didn't come back for months later. Those kids didn't have hearing aids to hear at home unless they owned a set. So we try to jump in there and fill some of those needs. You can go to the next one. Can't Be an Angel. This is probably my favorite. I just got back from my first camp experience a couple of weeks ago. So we load up the whole family and we take them to a barrier-free camp. One of them is outside of Houston in Burton, Texas. And the other one is actually on the bay in Rockport. And these kids, even ones that, like my friend that was now upright, that has no body control, even those kids can do all these, everything is set up for them. So they can zip line, they can ride a horse, they can do archery, they canoe, they fish, and we're there for the weekend. Those parents don't have to worry about feeding anybody. We feed them 3 meals a day. They have fun. We do campfires at night and s'mores. One night we swim. We do a worship type service on Sunday morning. The parents are able to talk about their experience. The bonding that I saw between the families, especially the dads who don't like to get bonded necessarily or talk about their feelings, was just eye-opening. When I was walking to my car an hour after we dismissed everyone, I saw 2 families standing out by their vehicles talking. And I said, y'all are still here? And the 2 dads said, I met somebody that understands me. He's just become my friend. And I've got goosebumps right now talking about it. It was just such an experience for everyone. They stay in cabins. There's a bunch of cabins. We're looking at a camp outside of Fort Worth, about 45 miles south for DFW area. It's called Camp John Mark. It's just now opening up back up fully after COVID. So that's going to be one for up here, but anybody from this area can also go to those. So what we like to do is take 15 families that's been there, take 15 new families, we pair them up, and that's some of how that bond takes place. You can go to the next one. Another thing we do, which will eventually be added here, is called Success Golf. So we have floor to ceiling murals, tons of them, and it looks like the Masters. If you're looking at the Masters, it looks like the background. We have adaptive golf clubs that we bring in, bags, and we leave them at the school for about 2 weeks. The therapists work with these kids with the golf clubs. We have putting greens that we bring in. And then 2 weeks later, we usually get a group from that particular school district's high school, maybe the football team, maybe student council. Those kids are paired up with a handicapped child, and they do a putting contest that lasts for usually the entire morning. Everyone gets medals. The cool thing is that we have found that some therapists are saying that after working with those golf clubs and practicing for those 2 weeks, and I don't know how it works, but how they're moving their hands and such, that some of these kids are actually accomplishing things with the physical therapist later, just from the actual use of swinging the clubs and working with the clubs. So that's a fun event that will be headed up here soon. Our Christmas program, here's the numbers for it. We did over 5,000 last year, 29 different school districts, 331 schools, 701 teachers. And then the Galleria the Rotary at the Galleria in Houston, we partnered with them to do Christmas for 54 of the deaf education students that were at T.H. Rogers there. The Christmas program is pretty cool. This is another place that I can always use volunteers. What I think is cool about it is that we personally shop for the kid. So the parent or the teacher fills out an application on that kid. We don't just go buy random stuff for them. We buy what's on level, what is something they can actually use, what's fun, but that's also going to help them. We spend, it doesn't sound like a lot, but we spend $50 per kid. They close down a Target for the morning for us in the Houston area. We're actually doing it with a Target in Irving for DFW this year. We have 2,000 volunteers that do the Houston stuff. That's why I said I need volunteers here. I don't have that many that go in, take the application, they go find what's on that list, they bring it up, they run it through the line, and then we pay at the end. We wrap them all up, and a couple of weeks before Christmas, we deliver them to the schools, have a party with those kids, and they get to go home with their Christmas gifts. So it's pretty cool that we're actually providing stuff that they can use, that's not just going to sit somewhere at home because they don't like it or they can't use it. So Insperity has been one of the big donors that helps us with that Christmas program in Houston. So this year we're actually adding to those numbers. I think we're doing like maybe 400 Dallas ISD kids, and then the 60 plus that are at Joe Kelly. And we'll be adding school districts to this list every year. Go to the next one. Other things that we provide, adaptive therapy cars. If you have a little one or a grandchild, you've probably seen the battery operated cars that they get in. So we provide these for schools, and they switch where the button is that makes it go. So if a child's working on upper body strength, they'll put the button behind so that when they actually are doing what with those therapists, what they're supposed to, then they get the reward of the car goes. If it's they're working on controlling their fingers to run their electric wheelchair, we'll put the button there. So they move them around. We have volunteers that totally rewire them to make them something that helps with what they're working on. The little girl that's kind of standing in the, I don't know what to call that. I call it a jumpy thing. My kid had one that hung between two door frames when he was a baby, and it was called a Johnny Jump Up, I think. But this is on a pulley system, and this little girl cannot walk, but once she's harnessed in that, due to the pulleys, she can walk forward and turn and come back. So that's something we've provided to schools. This is a picture of that We Go swing that I was saying we're going to be adding to that playground in November. Alternatives for Angels. This is something called to the respite care. So we will provide care up to 20 hours a month for these families that have kids that have special needs. My one example of that is we had a lady that had not been to church in 4 or 5 years. Her son was having multiple seizures, and it was just a hassle to get him there and, you know, not, I guess, disrupt everyone if he had a seizure. And she contacted us and she said, I want to go back to church. And so we pay every Sunday for 2 hours of care for that child, and she gets to go to church. So the respite care program is pretty cool too. The caregivers have to actually be a family member or like someone that works with that child, like a therapist or something like that. So they're all background checked and good. The summer respite care program, that's kind of like a summer camp that we will partner with schools, and it gives handicapped kids a place to go when school's out for 2 or 3 weeks to have arts and crafts and games and things like that. You're doing a good job. We have one international arm, little international arm, and the only way we send money over there is if someone specifically says we want our money to go there. And it's called Casa de Luz, House of Light. It's in the Dominican. And basically this lady in this picture was a mom who had a child with disability and multiple disabilities. And over there, it's getting better, but it used to be that those children were not going to be of any work to society. And so the government told you, get rid of them, leave them somewhere. And so they would be left all different places. Word got out that she took really good care of her own child. And as word got out, guess what happened? Babies started and children started being left on her doorstep. She would take them in and she would take care of them. And so they had a little big room hut, terrible condition that she had these kids in. We were able to go in and build a second story, fix up everything where it was nice. It's now 2 stories. This is kind of where the local Rotary Club, the Pioneer Club in Plano, we partnered with them to put in a water system that's going to actually the system will be completed where they can use it in January. So I'm not always asking for money. We actually donated money along with that Rotary Club to get that done. Not only are they going to have clean water, there was a system put in so that they can bottle it and sell it to support themselves. So pretty cool. This is how we're funded. You can see 48% of our money comes from special events that we have. Grants are 8.8. Just kind of shows general donations almost 20. So that's how the money comes in. Next one. And this is what we spend the money on. 71% is programs, all of what I just told you about. The 8.6 is maintenance and paying people that work there. So you can see we like to keep that low. And you got to spend money to make money. So we spend about 20% on getting these fundraisers together and the events together. This is broken down even more into how much we spend in each area that I've talked about. You can see the equipment is about 38%, Christmas program 27%. Go to the next one. And that's pretty much it. We just like to close with this last, whoever brings blessing will be enriched, and one who waters will himself be watered. I gave you the brochure that kind of talks about the services. Some of them I talked about might not be on there yet just because we haven't added them to the DFW area. But when you contribute in DFW, your money stays in DFW. If anybody is really interested in being an angel, this book, it's our annual report, and we're fixing to have a new one come out, but it is just our transparency to you. Tells everything about it, especially the money. We have these rack cards in Spanish and English in the containers they go in. So besides development, putting on events, bringing in money, the other part of my job is I go into hospitals, clinics, school districts, and present just like I'm doing today, because those people are my boots on the ground. They're working with the kids. They know what kids need, what, have what, and they can refer those to me. The application process, it's about a 30-day application process from when they fill the application out to when they actually get the piece of equipment or whatever it is that we're providing. Though everything's in Spanish and English. You know, I get the question, do you only help limited income families or low income families? Not necessarily, because our hands aren't tied in red tape by not taking money from the government. We're actually pretty loose. In 36 years, they've declined 4 people. And that was people that got funding somewhere else first, or they were just kind of checking out to see what they could get. We recently had a man that made a great living in the oil field, but his wife had cancer. He had 2 twin daughters that's wheelchairs were broke, and 2 other kids. So we told him when we hand out an application, make your story come to light on these pages. Tell us everything, be vulnerable. No one's going to know about it, but we've got to be able to see what it looks like in your family. And we funded that family. He was tapped out. There was a lot going on. So on paper, even though it looked like he had money and made a good living, they needed help. So I'm trying to think if there's anything I'm forgetting. Do y'all have any questions? Yeah.
I just want to thank you for doing what you're doing, because I am special ed.
Okay.
I was in special ed in Nashville, Tennessee, back in the early 60s, between 2 and 5 years. And I got out because I was growing. I had a vein bust in my head when I was young, and it caused me to be slow. I'm still slow at some things.
Yeah.
Computers, one of them.
Me too. Me too.
And my oldest daughter was slow too. But I got a granddaughter, the second old granddaughter, she's slow. She's in special education in McKinney. So I understand what you're saying, all about special ed. I have a heart for that. I have a heart for kids who used to talk about me. And I tell people right now, I really want to write a book. Because when I was growing up, I remember this one name they used to call me, all the people in that class, they call her Zuzu. And somehow that stood.
All these
And
years.
even my wife tell you, sometimes you don't get it right off. And sometimes it still take me to process.
Yeah.
But I understand the kids. And I'm gonna be with you. I didn't know they had something like this, but I want to be a part of this.
All right, I appreciate that. Yeah, so I just came on in April, which is when we kind of got started with concentrating in the DFW area. Eventually, they want to have these chapters all over the state. Then DFW, I'm the guinea pig, I guess. So and it's just me. So there's a lot that I do on both sides of it. But these, like I said, I thought I knew these kids. And then I took a tour of this school. If you're ever in Fort Worth, you can come and tour the school. It is so eye-opening. We're having our first event. So if you guys are praying people, you can pray for me. Next week is the first event. It does happen to be over there, and it's a purse bingo event. So they're playing bingo for designer purses. And then there's other things going on too. We're going to be doing a golf tournament next May at Cowboys Golf Club in Grapevine with some of the ex-Cowboys. So two of my board members here in DFW both used to play for the Cowboys, Mike Renfro and Doug Donley. So they've been a big help and are gonna get the golf tournament going good. We're planning a music event, all-day concert with different people every hour, probably in the Colony at Lava Cantina. We're gonna do some type of shooting event next year. So we're starting to hit the ground running, but like I said, just talk about it. You've got my card, email me if you want to be more involved, find kids, send them my way. And I appreciate your time and your help in this great mission.
Given your history with Rotary, what club are you part of now?
You know what? I've been asked that. This is number 6 because you're the 6th one in Plano. I definitely am starting to get more involved in that. Just joined Dallas North Chamber, Dallas Regional, and Fort Worth. So going to that and going to get more active in some of these community groups. Yes, sir.
Find one that fits.
Okay, sure will. Thank you, guys.
Well, Denise, in appreciation, and you'll be able to appreciate this. In appreciation for your time and program today, we make a donation to the Polio Plus Fund in your name. So
That's another thing I've learned, I've found, there are a lot of nonprofits in DFW.
Oh, yes,
And
there
there are a lot of great nonprofits. So I kind of have to pray daily, God, take me to my people, align me with my people who have a heart like this man over here, who have a heart who's been touched by what we do, and that's my tribe. So you guys can be my tribe too, no matter who you support. But yeah, definitely trying to. I'm glad you're here. That's what matters.
Well, thank you. And I agree with Ian. You need to scope out the different Rotary clubs in your area and find the one that you fit,
I
that
lived
fits
in
you.
Prosper for 20 years. When I moved there, it was nothing. And now
Now it's, yeah.
There is a great Rotary club in Rockford.
Is
There you
there?
go.
Okay, perfect.
He's a former district governor for our entire district, so he can probably tell you all kinds of good stuff.
Okay.
Thank you, Ian. All right. Okay, so next week, our meeting is Fun and Games Networking. So Joanna, did you want to give them a little teaser on what we're going to be doing next week? Or, I'm sorry, give them their homework?
Okay, so I kind of took pity on y'all from the last time. Because y'all were, I think, a little deer in headlights on your assignment last time. So this time, this is what I want us to talk about next time. So I'm giving you a week to think about it and bring your ideas. what I'd like us to do is break up in small groups and talk about a charitable event that you were involved in that was meaningful to you personally and why. And so we can kind of share about why, you know, we thought something was cool that we got to do to help people. And secondly, to kind of give us ideas on, you know, additional, you know, potential service projects or things that we might not have already known about, or that, you know, or, oh yeah, I remember when this used to happen. Anyway, so that's your homework for next week. Thanks.
Thank you, Joanna. Okay, so if you will stand and join me in the four-way test of the things we think, say, or do. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendships? Fourth, will it be beneficial to all concerned? And fifth, is it fun?
Rotary.
Thank you. Y'all have a great week, and I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Kelly.
Yeah.
Here it is.